Hi, it's Toby from Heavyweight MMA. Today with professional mixed martial artist Paul Loga from Sassam MMA in Australia. How are you, man?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
Good, man. Good. Hey, so you just kicked off for work for the morning, man. It's something I wanted to talk about a bit, actually, is working and fighting at the same time. How is that, bro? How is it to juggle the two?
Yeah, it can be quite daunting at times, but obviously fighting in the local scene doesn't exactly pay the mortgage and put food on the table, So got to do it, and I've done it throughout my whole career. So ever since before I started, I was working full time as a concrete and construction, and I've just carried on doing the same thing.
Man, actually, it brings me to something. Aaron Tao was talking to him recently, and he said you're a shit concreter. Is that true or not?
I don't know, but I'll do a shit job for him if he ever asked.
Hey, jumping onto that, bro, you've got a fight coming up on the 3rd of September, XFC 58 against Aaron Tao. How are you shaping up for that one?
Actually, I'm coming off an injury that sidelined me for about 6 months. I had hand surgery, so we're jumping straight back into the deep end of things. But yeah, I look forward to it. Obviously, me and Aaron are mates. We've trained together, we've sparred together and whatnot before he went over to Dan Hooker's gym. So I look forward to it. It's very similar styles, very aggressive. So if I was in the crowd, I wouldn't look away for too long.
That's it, man. Have you ever fought anyone that you've like trained with and been friends with before?
Not so much trained with, but been friends with. Obviously, when I was fighting in flyweight division, there's not too many of us, so we all get to know each other pretty well. But I learn how to separate the two. I go into training every night, and I punch dudes in the head that I'm very good friends with. So it's no different. The only difference is I'm getting paid to fight.
Yeah, man, it's an interesting concept, isn't it? At the true level of professional, it shouldn't really matter, right? Because it's a test, and like you said, you're a prize fighter at the end of the day. It's for money, right?
Yeah, exactly right. 25 minutes, we put aside a friendship and we try and hurt each other. And afterwards, it's all going to be good. We're going to go have beers and chill out afterwards, and nothing's going to change. Yeah, not everyone you fight's your enemy, so this is no different.
Yeah, man. Actually, he said that about he's telling you that he's going to take you out drinking afterwards, but he said you don't normally go out for a drink. Is that true?
Yeah, I don't normally go out for a drink, especially after fights. Obviously putting in a hard camp and then cutting weight, and then the first thing you go do straight afterwards is put alcohol in your body. But I'm going to make an exception. But I don't know if I can keep up with him. But I'm
Yeah,
going to give it a red hot go.
fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, man. After like I fought before, I never felt like drinking ever afterwards. It's just something like all the chemicals and that your body produces during a fight, and adrenaline and everything. I never feel like having a drink after. I don't know.
Yeah, you feel like shit. You want to go get a good feed in you and have a good night's sleep. And I'm hoping I want to be back in the gym on Monday, so have a busy end of the year. So the drinking thing, I will have beers, but my mind's on the job, and the beers come second. Obviously, like I've got a tough task ahead of me, and yeah, I'm not past him or for him, or I just want to go in there, put on a good performance, like I'm capable of doing.
Cool, cool. Man, you fought on a few different shows, Eternal, XFC, Brace. How do you find the XFC group which you're coming up to fight on?
Yeah, it's good. I haven't fought for him in a while. But I've jumped. I was over at Eternal for a while. Just, I guess, you know, I was at not many flyweights at XFC, so I was over at Eternal. But now, as soon as the move come up, XFC reached out, and I look forward to going back there and fighting for them. I was also their amateur flyweight champion back in the day, so I look forward to amateur champion and finally being a pro champ.
That's it, man. Hey, talking back on Eternal, you had a few fights with Urseg not that long ago. I watched both of those ones online and that, and yeah, it must be disappointing, man, to prepare for something, come up and I mean, fighting can go anyway. It's a tough sport, but yeah, on those two occasions, you came up short, man. How does that feel
Yeah.
like inside?
Oh, I was gutted. I was not happy at all. You know, he's obviously a top level dude, and I was just wanted to show a bit more of my arsenal. You know, like those two fights, I just never got going at it at all. Like he sort of, I gave him opportunities I shouldn't have, and he sort of jumped on them, and that just shows how fucking good he is. Like he's a good fighter. You know, you can't switch off for a second with him, otherwise, you know, you blink and it's all finished.
Yeah, man, the second fight, you landed a couple of good shots as well. It's just, yeah,
Yeah,
fate has it into the clinch onto the ground, man, and you locked up a good guillotine, right?
yeah, it was a good gillo. I was thinking to myself, fuck, how did Volko get out of this? But I was kicking my legs and all sorts of shit. But yeah, it just didn't want to work out for me.
That's it. That's it, man. To take it back, when did you start in martial arts and kind of why?
I was always playing rugby union and rugby league, and I kept getting injured like non-stop. think I had three surgeries my last 3 seasons, and I've just stepped in. I was just lifting weights at a local gym at Healthworks, and they had a BJJ sign up, and I've joined in and fell in love with it. And sort of those boys pushed me towards it and passed me on. The better I got, the more they passed me on to other gyms and other coaches. And now I'm out at Sassam May. I've been there for the last 6 years, 7 years. So yeah, that's how I got into it. Like it was literally by accident, really.
Yeah. Do you train gi jiu-jitsu now or no?
Yeah, yeah. I still put on the gi once a week. Um, yeah, it's all part of the game, isn't it? And I want to be a well-rounded fighter, whether it's gi, no gi, wrestling, striking. I want to be able to do it all.
What belt are you, man? And have you graded in BJJ?
Yeah, I'm a brown belt.
Brown belt, cool. Do you see that as something that you'll continue your whole life and potentially be a teacher and that sort of thing?
Yeah. In BJJ, yeah, I might maybe one day try and be a striking coach, but I don't think once I'm retired, I don't think I'll ever lace up the gloves again and get punched in the head. That's for sure.
Man, I can tell you for someone who's a bit older, man, yeah, you don't really want to be hitting the head anymore. To be honest, I much
Yeah.
prefer light sparring is cool, man, but I don't want to go hard anymore, man. Used to be like a competition every time you go in the gym. Now it's just like some moving around and that's cool. But yeah, you get some solid hits, you're like, fuck this, man.
Yeah, man. It's not. It's yeah. You got to look after your brain too. You know, I've been in some stupidly fucking just fought dumb in some fights, and it's just like shot for shot. And even at training, sometimes like you get the heat of the battle, and before you know it, you're walking out of there with a migraine before you even fucking fought.
That's it. That's it. Man, was there anything that led you to be interested in fighting, like from your background, man? Like, where are your parents from, and do they have any sort of interest in fighting and stuff?
I'm from Sudan, Africa. Actually, I moved to Australia when I was 10. My
Yep.
my parents brought me over here. Obviously, it's a pretty war torn country. But I don't know, fighting. I sort of fell into it because I want to test myself, like solo. You know what I mean? It's a team sport still, but you step in there by yourself, and it's a different mental game. Like you can go on a footy field, you got another 12 blokes with you, or another 14 blokes with you. You step into the cage, it's you. Yes, you got your corner, but at the end of the day, if you don't show up, you got no one else to blame but yourself.
Yeah, man, you can't hide from anything, eh? It's a very different thing. There's absolutely no hiding in pretty much any of those combat sports because it's only man to man. You know, there's no people to hide behind.
No, exactly right. That's why I fell in love with it. Like, there's nothing excites me more than having my hands wrapped and warming up at the back and my heart rate going to the fucking roof. And then when that first punch lands and you're just like, I'm fucking home. And I do love it. I really do. It's like I was out, like I said, I was injured for 6 months, and that 6 months really made me realize how much I love competing and I love fighting. So yeah, without it, I don't know what else I'd be doing. Probably getting in trouble. It definitely keeps me down the straight and narrow as well.
That's good, man. Hey, you mentioned also that you love the crowd behind you, so that feeling of being out in front of the crowd and people screaming and that, right?
Yeah, yeah. I always bring a big crowd in, and I love them all for it. Like, mainly friends and family. And I got my younger brother always there. You can always hear him, and my girlfriend can always hear him over the crowd going nuts, which is which is cool, man. I support them and they support me, and yeah, it's a cool feeling, man. Like having people that actually care, and tickets aren't exactly the cheapest anymore, so they still come out, buy tables, hard earned money. So, oh, I love it. I support. It's good.
Isn't it a strange thing, man? Like you'll be in the ring and everyone will be screaming, and you can hear those couple of familiar voices over the top of everything, be it your cornerman or be it your girlfriend or whatever. You can just hear them over everyone.
Yeah, bro. Familiar voices are definitely yeah, it's a good thing to have in a crowd. It sort of just gives you that little bit of a pep in your step, especially when you're corner. My even when I've been rocked, sometimes I can definitely still hear my corner. Like they're in my ear 7 days a week. Like we talk all the time. If I'm not training, they ring me, make sure I'm all right. I love those boys out of Sasson MMA. So yeah,
It's also part of the maturity as a fighter, bro, to be able to hear that corner and what they're saying. Because, when you get guys in there for their first one or two fights or whatever, they don't hear shit, man, to be honest. But as
no,
they move on, they start to recognize and they can hear that it can help a bit as well, yeah.
yeah, exactly right. I remember my first fight. I was throwing windmills and had no idea what was going on, and yeah, I couldn't hear a thing in my corner. I'm glad that's all changed now.
So you've competed in grappling comps and that you mentioned, and also MMA. Any other sort of combat sports you've fought in?
I've done Muay Thai. Fought in a couple of Muay Thai shows actually, six of them. I fought for two Queensland belts as well. So yeah, at Rumble of the Rich, run by Ian Bronson. It's a sick show, man, and he's a good dude. Always finds me hard fights.
How do you
Tough him.
compare the two, man? Like MMA versus Muay Thai, how's the feeling between the two for you?
Brutal. It's just clash of wills, if you know what I mean. Like we're going out there. When I fight Muay Thai, I'm out there to hurt. I'm out there to hurt as well in MMA, but it's a little bit more strategic. Obviously, the rounds are a bit longer. But in Muay Thai, I feel like it's a sprint. We're out there in a sprint, and I'm going to hurt you before you hurt me.
Fair enough, man. You talk about your style of fighting that you try to mix things up, man. I think originally from the earlier small interviews I was listening to, originally you were striking more than anything, right? And then you were saying that you wanted to try and evolve your game and be more well-rounded. Have you managed to do that over the years?
I think so. I think obviously minus the Usyk fight because they didn't really go long enough for me to show anything. Like the fight prior to that, I mixed it up well, my wrestling to my striking. Um, yeah, I think I have, and I've got good coaches around me. I had a wrestling coach who's gone now, Eric Simmons, and my head coach Marcus Collins and my striking coach Michael Gaffey. Like these boys give me everything I need. I've just got to mix it up. Whereas sometimes I get caught on the feet, and I enjoy striking, and obviously the fans and the crowd they like a good striking battle. Sometimes I just got to play it smart. I can't get sucked into that sort of into the atmosphere and try and please them because at the end of the day I'll be going home with the loss and not them.
That's true, man. But at the same time, that's what people like you for, right? If you're exciting and if that's your inclination to, to be the warrior, to step in rather than just play it safe, then, sometimes you got to do it, right?
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, I've got a habit of doing that. Getting in wild fights, wild exchanges. But yeah, it's my coaches sort of have to pull me back sometimes, in the corner, tell me to settle down a bit because it's not so much. I'm probably too aggressive. They got to be like, all right, settle down, mate. Just move your feet. You don't have to be punching and kicking and elbowing for every second of the fight. Yeah, sometimes that's something I got to work on, and I have got better at that.
Yeah, fair enough, bro. So you talk about your gym, man. Like, how is the gym? Is it based on what sort of style? Is it MMA based gym? It's called Sassam MMA, right? Does it break up to
Yep.
different skills like Muay Thai, boxing,
Yeah.
BJJ, wrestling, etc.?
Yeah. So we got a wrestling program that Coach Eric put together for us, and he was with us for like 6 years, I think. So our wrestling program's quite well. And then there's Muay Thai, obviously. There's the beginners class, and then we got our fighters class. And there's a good bunch of young guys going through there. There's a lot of young guys at the moment in the gym. A lot of the old heads sort of left. I'm turning into one of the old heads now. So yeah, they break it up well, and Marcus sort of puts it all together really well. Um, you know, he's got a small fight team, but he puts a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, man. And for your training, like, how do you break it up, bro? Because working and fighting at the same time, obviously difficult. Do you train like twice a day coming up to fights? Do you train once a day? How do you roll?
I'll go once a day. My theory is there's no point in going twice a day if you're going half-assed in the morning and half-assed at night. I get to the gym about 4:30, run, and then I'll start my pad session at 5. That will go till 6. Pad session and drilling until 6, and then from 6 till 7 will be just concentrating on technique, and from 7 till 8:30 will be grappling. So every night's a late night, but it's what I got to do. And I feel like the one session I can put everything into it rather than trying to break it up into two. Yeah, the recovery is not as good, but you know, it's it's what I got to do. To put food on the table, I still got to work.
Yeah, man. And you mentioned, I think I heard you say that you've sort of evolved over the years. You've started listening to your body more and on the recovery and that, man. Is that something you sort of focus on?
Yeah. So before, if I would not take a night off, I would. They say a session you've done, even though the session's shit, but at least you push through it for mental toughness. I'm mentally tough. I've realized that I don't need that mental toughness. Like I'm there. Sometimes I'm too tough for my own good. Like I'll come in, the next thing you know, I'm injured or I'm getting sick. So if I need a night off, I'll take the night off. Like I'll message my coaches or my strength and conditioning coach, and I'll tell them I need the night off, and they're more than happy to accommodate that.
Yeah, man. Talking about like things like rest and recovery, and you mentioned strength and conditioning. Do you take on those little things? Like, there's so much evolution in the sport, right? Like, people training are also doing all these things, focusing on their diet, focusing on the different types of training, man, doing the rest and recovery, saunas, ice baths, meditation, all these things. Do you do much of that stuff?
So I've actually the last year and a half, maybe 2 years of MP therapies. Jason's come on board. He does all my strength conditioning, and he also does works on my body for me when I'm aches and pains. He's a movement therapist. And my dietitian, the fight dietitian, Jordan Sullivan. I think he does Aaron Tour too. Pretty
He
much
does just
does
about everyone in the
everyone.
whole of Australia, right?
Yeah, yeah, I'm good mates with him, so he does my diet as well. So yeah, like those sort of things I don't have to stress about. Like they tell me what to do, and I just do it.
Now, man,
So
that stuff's great. Like the dieting, it's taking it to a new level, right? Like even the top guys, UFC guys that are, working with Jordan, that say how good it is now. They eat pretty well, but they're like able to cut weight by doing it scientifically. Eh?
yeah, exactly right. You don't have to kill yourself to do it. And me and Geordie had a chat, and we decided to come to bantamweight because my last weight cut was my body just didn't want to do it. Didn't want to go down there. We ended up getting down there, but it wasn't fun. And he had a conversation with me. He said maybe it's time to move up. So yeah, it's good to have someone like that, someone you trust that can tell you when to move up, when to move on. You know.
That's it, man. And what do you think, like the state of MMA in Australia, man? How is it? Like, is it pretty shit? Like, as far as money and all this sort of stuff goes, as being a professional fighter.
Yeah, well, the money obviously we put obviously promotions they're not the biggest and they try and do their best. But yeah, the money's not what you want it to be. Like you can't. There's no way you can live off purses unless you're fighting every week in Australian MMA. But that's just something that's going to evolve. Like I know the Aussie boxers that can nearly make a living out of it just from boxing, and over time that will happen. I don't think it'll happen while I'm fighting, but I'm sure over time it will.
Do you have any good sponsors and that support you, bro? Because obviously you need that to try and help out with the training and everything.
Yeah, so I got obviously MP therapies. Um, I'm managed by 110. He deals with all my sponsors for me. Train aid, fight dietitian. But yeah, that's about it. I've sort of always had the mindset that I started this career on my own, and I sort of want to like the support's good, but I don't want to piggyback off anyone. Like I'll fund my own career.
Yeah, yeah, fair enough. And talking about like in the local scene and that, man, you also mentioned that you'd like to fight like in Japan or ONE FC or something
Yeah,
like that. Do you think that's something you're going to achieve in your career?
I hope so. That's a dream of mine. Most guys are dreaming of fighting in the UFC, but a dream of mine's to fight in front of a Japanese crowd or in Singapore or something. You know, I've fought guys that have come out of ONE FC and I beat them, and I've fought guys that are still in ONE FC and I beat them too. So it's sort of a matter of the way I'm looking at it. It's just I got to go out there, show what I'm capable of, and in time, though, hopefully we'll see that and come knocking.
Bro, I mean, apart from ONE FC, there are so many shows around the world now, man. If you really wanted to get into something in like some of these Asian regions, I'm sure there'd be shows. Just need to, have the right people that'll reach out and find them for you because they'd have to be on par with the Australian sort of level, you know, promotions and that. And they got so many things happening around the world now, eh?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I have been pushing my Dean, my manager, to start reaching out to overseas, especially Japanese and Asian countries. So I just like the way they look at fighters. You know, it's not your win and loss; it's the fight you put in front of them that they enjoy doing and they respect it and they're respectful. And I want to be fighting in front of crowds like that.
And what you mentioned before too is that respect for the lighter fighters because the Asian build is usually smaller, so you can get, you know, highly regarded in these sort of areas, right? So yeah, better for
Yeah,
your weight.
yeah, of course. Like you look at when I was fighting a flyweight, like a flyweight fight wouldn't be. They'd look at you and be like, it's not that exciting, just because we're smaller dudes.
Yeah,
Everyone wants to see that one hitter quitter,
yeah,
where you one shot and they're out cold. But the talent it takes to be a flyweight or a bantamweight, like it's high because everyone's good. There's no one that's shit. Like everyone's, if you've had more than 10 fights, you're more than likely an absolute savage.
yeah. It's a whole different game. The movement, the pace, and everything. The work rate is very different.
Yeah, exactly right. Like, no offense to the bigger guys, but I don't know, 3 minutes in and you're gassing out is a bit of a, I don't know, I find that boring.
It's true. It can be. Bro,
Yeah,
that's basically a lot of the questions that I had, but I got just a heap of like sort of different sort of short questions. If I could ask you
yeah,
10
yeah,
questions, man, just I'm gonna ask quite a few different like pro fighters and that, and then I'll make a compilation at the end. So I
yeah.
started doing it with some other guys. These are fresh questions. You're the first one to do this set of questions.
All
Just some
right.
short, just some short answers, bro. A couple of null ones, a couple of stupid ones. First one is the life of a prize fighter difficult.
Yeah, it's shit. It's shit. The body's always sore.
Fair enough, bro. The second one, what emotions do you feel on fight day?
Nerves and excitement.
That's it, bro. Um, what's the optimum healthy sort of diet for you, man?
Uh, Whatever Geordie gives me.
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
All right, bro. What do the meals normally consist of, bro? Out of interest, like when you're leading up to fights, what sort of things they give you?
Chicken, fish, obviously. A lot of white meats, red meats too. My bantamweight diet's a lot nicer than my flyweight diet. A lot of snacks in there, even some desserts. So fucking pretty cool, actually. I'm enjoying it a lot.
That's good, man. Hey, what's your favorite like positive mantra, like something that you tell yourself, like a statement you kind of tell yourself?
Oh, I don't know if it's positive. It might, it might be a bit aggressive. Um,
That's right. That's all right. What do you do?
it's
Yeah,
shoot first, ask questions later.
fair enough. Advice for anyone that wants to be a prize fighter.
Do the work. Don't be a prima donna. Do the work. Don't turn down fights either, because you'll get to the top and you'll eventually get found out.
Cool. What's the worst injury you ever had?
It's not fight related. I had a snap tendon in my wrist, but yeah, not fight related.
You said you blew your knee out too. That was from fighting, right?
Oh yeah, it was a grade two tear in my MCL. It was during a fight. That's probably why it felt so shit. But in the long run, it was only like a 4 week recovery.
Okay, that's cool. What's the most wacky martial art you've ever tried?
Oh, I've never tried them, but I watch them. Probably that Aikido shit where they use their whatever they call it, their chi or chai. to throw people around.
Did you see that classic video that keeps popping up over the last couple of years as an Aikido dude saying that Aikido smashed BJJ or something? Or
Oh,
yeah, I think it
bro,
was
they're all
BJJ, and
hitting.
then you just get slapped so hard and then thrown on his head.
Yeah, bro. I like that dude that goes around and tests them all out, and he ends up flogging the shit out of all of them.
Crazy. Couple of silly questions, man. If you were shipwrecked on an island, you had all your human needs taken care of, like food and water. What two items would you have to take with you, or would you take with you?
A woman, obviously, um, and beer.
You were turning this into a party, bro.
Yeah.
Okay. If someone road rages you, pulls over their car in front of you, two guys jump out, their car ready to go, what do you do?
We're jumping out. It's too late. Turn around. They've made the choice.
All right, bro. Last one. If you're in a bar fight, what three fighters are your ideal backup?
Three fighters. Probably my head coach Marcus, because he's a nutcase. Uh, maybe Cain Velasquez and Khabib.
Sounds good, bro. Kane will be whipping out the gun, blasting fools, man.
Yeah, right. A couple of warning shots.
That's it, man. Last thing, what are your plans for the rest of this year and the future?
This year, obviously this fight, and I'm hoping to stay busy. Hopefully two more, maybe three. We'll see. We're going to be pushing it, but I've had a long layoff, so I want to get busy.
Cool. All right, bro. Well, thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it. And looking forward to your fight coming up with Aaron Tao. And also, I live in Asia, actually, bro. So looking forward to, in some time in the future, seeing you out this way, bro.
Awesome, bro. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thanks, man.